Now, I like when we can go kind of behind the scenes, and I'd like to get both of your perspectives. And Austin, I'll have you go first. So, AEM was tasked with bringing industry professionals together to tackle this. Can you share some of the behind the scene efforts that took place to then drive this development?
Yeah, as you had mentioned earlier, this started all the way back in 2022 when we AEM along with industry partners and our members held our first ever celebration of agriculture on the National Mall, and that was an opportunity to bring policymakers out onto the mall. We brought equipment to them to foster conversations around topics just like this. This was the whole purpose of doing an event like this to what were their concerns and start the dialogue and conversation about how we can address that. And so the conversation didn't stop there. That was where the initial concern was raised. And then what we did, rallied the industry around this topic. We informed folks this is a concern that was raised, and we set up a number of calls. Number one, to dive deeper. What is the issue? Really understand what are some of the concerns, and partner with FDA and other folks to make sure that what we were putting into place and what we were going to recommend with the standard, number one, first and foremost, addressed those concerns, but number two, did so in a way that was by no means limiting to anybody, was not putting undue burden onto anybody, because the last thing we wanted to do was put forth a standard that was either impossible to meet, especially as companies are looking to enter this space, or too complicated, too confusing. But also, we didn't want to go too far to the extreme of the other side and not put something out there that wasn't going to actually accomplish anything or address some of those concerns. And so it started with that dialogue about what are the concerns, what are the best ways we can address that. And then it was all about kind of just putting some pen to paper and grinding out, what's the standard going to look like. It went through multiple rounds of revisions, working with our friends over at ASABE to make sure that this was an industry consensus document as well, getting input from farmers, academia, equipment manufacturers, and other key stakeholders to get that diverse perspective from folks who are experts and who have lived this and who know this type of stuff. Willie and I, we certainly had our thoughts and opinions as we went along the way, but it was really about, after we understood the problem, getting folks together to have a conversation and build that consensus and bring together those unique perspectives.
And Willie, from your perspective, can you share some of those behind the scene items that took place as this was developing?
Yeah, I think Austin summed that up pretty well. It was some really interesting conversations amongst various industry professionals from manufacturing side, academia, the grower side of the industry. And it was pretty interesting as we got into conversations. A lot of it coming down to just the specific wording that was used and how it can have various implications on both manufacturing process, crops that are associated. So it was a lot of really good, candid conversations. I think everybody that was involved in the writing of the standard, everybody brought a lot to the table, but everybody also took a lot away. It was, again, kind of talking about that food safety mindset within the industry, and it was same amongst various manufacturers here. Everybody came together on an even playing field. This wasn't the better anybody in general, is the better the industry as a whole.